So, are we on?
Yeah, we're on.
Okay. So, you brought up Jurassic Park during the break.
Yes, I did.
So, I was watching Jurassic World the other day. The other night it was on HBO. And then, of course, I'm thinking now.
Because you had the dinosaur stuff floating in your head.
Yes. Yeah. And he said your favorite part was the monster that comes out of the pool or whatever. So I had a
Eats
thought.
the shark.
I had a thought about this after I watched the movie. I was like, wait a second. Time out here. First off, they're feeding a great white shark. They're doing a show 3 times a day. In a year, that's over 1,000 sharks. Great white sharks, by the way. Fully grown. Where the fuck are they keeping these sharks? It's not like you go out and fish for 1,000 sharks, great white sharks.
They must be, well, you know, if they can genetically engineer
all right,
dinosaurs.
But I'm going to beat you on that.
Okay.
All right. But now they got to find all the fish to feed the shark for the next 20 years. So they got to grow 1,000 sharks for 20 years. So in this cage or aquarium, 20 years, 1,000, there's 20 fucking thousand sharks in this aquarium of all different sizes, of course. They have to feed them. So now they have to have the aquariums for the chum, for the food, for the sharks. All right. So now they have to have land for the pasture, for the cow, for the... I'm just going through the
sheep and everything.
The entire fucking thing.
It is a massive operation. You're
right.
Like,
where are they keeping all this shit at?
Yeah.
Where is this 1,000 shark aquarium?
To look back at the previous films, they did kind of address that in the second book and second movie, which the second book and second movie are very different.
Right.
But they both go along with the premise of what they showed at Jurassic Park was all pretty and pristine and perfect and whatnot. But there was really a big industrial operation going on. And that was what the second movie was about. So that I kind of get your point. That the logistics is...
Yeah, they had islands all surrounding that one island for all that stuff. And I'm like... And I thought about that, and I was like, okay, they kind of addressed that, and you can kind of get away with that with the goat, feeding of the Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Is it going to eat the goat?
But that's fine. I gave you a pass on that. But 1,000 great white sharks.
It kind of, from a filmmaker's point of view, like it'd be really cool to see this thing eat a great white shark.
Right.
But they don't think of the logic of it. Of course, we're living in a world that has dinosaurs in it. So how logical could we be?
You know what? Fine. Genetic dinosaurs, there's only a few of them around there. They kind of might eat each other. But 1,000, it just won't, like...
Yeah, I know.
There's everything makes sense. Everything is plausible. Except 1,000 great white sharks. At any given time.
Well, that's even that's even deeper than what you brought up the first time with the why the hell is Chris Pratt qualified to train raptors? That makes perfect sense. There's a definite hole in the plot there.
Yeah.
And you're right. Jurassic World has far more holes in it than Jurassic Park does. And Jurassic Park has holes, but they kind of tongue-in-cheek it with Jurassic Park.
Well, it was 1992. We weren't that sophisticated then.
No. And yeah, that's why that movie still holds up better than the other ones do. But although I did love Jeff Goldblum in the second one. But anyway. So, moving on. Are we done with the dinosaurs now? We beat the dinosaurs to death.
Literally.
I beat them to death.
Apparently.
Yes.
The cavemen did.
Pretty impressive. Yeah, the cavemen did, if you believe some people. So anyway, there's basically the rest of this is going to be what's on our Facebook page. And as we're doing grim stuff, let's start with this. As a kid, did you ever see Watership Down?
Not only as a kid, as an adult. I made a point because I did a paper on Watership Down for one of my classes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That movie.
I did it on purpose because I brought this up in the class one day. And because I'm in classes with teenagers and 20-year-olds, none of them had seen this.
Ugh.
I think the instructor did, and she knew what I was talking about. But I was like, and I went off on Watership Down. So yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, the reason I bring it up is because BBC's making another one. They're making another adaptation. And apparently there was one in the 90s, too. I didn't know about it. It was some television show up in Canada, but wasn't nearly as brutal as this show. Now, I'll be honest, I've never read the book, but as far as I understand it, the book's as bad or worse in terms of visual. Now, Watership Down's about a group of bunnies, very cute little bunnies, trying to find a new home. And they end up getting into all these, I hesitate to use the word misadventures. It's more like brutality and war. In the same way that Animal Farm is a indictment of politics, the turn of the century politics and the czars of Russia and all that stuff. There's a bunch of things about it. Watership Down is about the hardships of like Holocaust and not literally, but it's just horrible.
Well, the entire story,
overpopulation and all kinds of stuff.
The entire story is supposed to follow socialism.
Yes, which Animal Farm kind of did too.
Yeah. So Russia, what's going on? You have to be a part of society. You have to share and all that. And if not, horrible things happen to you. And if you're not part of us, you're the enemy.
I remember part of the premise also in here was the bunnies, the rabbits in particular, were overbreeding and over-consuming. So everyone was trying to wipe them out.
Yeah, and which led to there's not enough food. You have to wait in line, red lines for Russia, things like that. And that was this was the way this came out from what I understood is this is a stance. This is how we're going to teach American children of why
communism is bad.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it slaps you in the face.
It does. Because you look at all the violence in this, and you're talking, I think the cartoon came out in the
77, 78.
70s, yeah, right when we were children.
And the book was in the 40s, like 45.
So,
which 45, if you look at, and it is still billed as a children's book, but so is The Hobbit. The Hobbit is a children's book, even though The Hobbit isn't particularly violent. It does have violence in it. But it's really thick for a children's book. It's a little heavy. This is violent and thick for a children's book. And in the movie, they would play this movie in prime time on Channel 12 on like a Saturday night.
They showed this movie in school.
Yeah.
I remember watching this in school.
Yeah. And I'm like, I would never want my daughter to watch this. I watched it like 3 or 4 years ago. I just downloaded it and was like, I haven't seen it in forever. And it was too much.
I think it's
not just the violence. I was just like bawling. Like the thing was horrible.
Violence wasn't to me. There's like some, of course, with any 70s or like that psychotic trip.
There's the dog scene and the buried alive scene. And
but the story is just.
The story's outstanding.
Yeah, if you understand the reason for the story and why and the view of the story, then it's like, holy crap, we actually viewed the Soviet Union this way, or communism this way. But
the 70s was the tail end of the Cold War.
But you got to remember, this isn't just Russia, but it's communism altogether. So you got Korea and what was going on there.
The movie touched that more than the book. The book was really focused on Germany and Russia at the time.
But this is just more communism, and if you kind of incorporate them all, that's what was going on. Or that was the view of what was going on.
As an adult, if you haven't seen it, you should see it once. I'm not saying you should. It would benefit you to see it once just from a socio-political point of view. If you have children, you buy this thinking. Now, I remember the reason I watched it again, because in my head, I had put it in the same category as something like Secret of NIMH. Yeah. Which Secret of NIMH is a little intense, too. But just a little.
Dude, you go Secret of NIMH, you go The Last Unicorn.
Yeah. Oh, man. I watched that recently, too.
But you go those...
Fire and Ice. Have you seen Fire and Ice?
I was listening to something... And basically, this radio show does prank calls,
kind of like Crank Yanker style.
Yeah. So,
or Nelson and Terry.
So they called up this author of children's book, and he had a lot of animals, and he's like saying, and this was a couple days ago that I listened to this, and he's like saying, he's like, we need you to put more violence, we need you to put more death in the books, and the guy's like, you want to put death in a children's book and in animals? First thing that popped in my head, Bambi.
Yep. Absolutely.
First thing, I was like, Bambi, Old Yeller. This didn't pop up, but yeah, it's a children's book. I'm like, yeah. And the guy that's on the radio sounds like he's 40, 50 years old. He grew up with Bambi.
Oh, yeah.
And all that stuff. I was like, you turned out pretty good. So, yeah, that's how we kind of get children to get used to death and the idea of death.
Have you watched Pinocchio lately? I mean, there was no death in it, but the whole scene when they lure the boys to Pleasure Island and then they all become jackasses and get kidnapped.
Oh, yeah.
It's a horrific series of events. It's and the book is even worse, really. The Pinocchio book is far worse than the film.
So, I'm in North Carolina, here, and I'm sitting in the back seat and watching DVD players with DVDs with all these kids. And the one movie we watch constantly over and over. And oh my God, is it bad? It's racist bad. And I've never watched the entire thing my entire life because I just was not interested.
I'm curious what it is
in this character at all. Peter Pan.
Okay, which we watch regularly.
Oh my God,
we have every version of it.
The engines.
Yes.
The children smoking.
Yes.
I must have watched this movie 3 times in like 4 days.
Blackfoot Tribe.
Yeah, and I'm like,
And the whole song about the red man.
Yeah, I'm like, this gets worse every time I watch it.
Yep.
And, you know.
But then yet something like Song of the South is pretty much banned everywhere because it's about slavery and things like that. Or at least it took place during those times.
Yeah, and I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
When I first took my daughter to Disneyland and we went on Splash Mountain, she kept asking, what is this? I don't know this cartoon. What is this? I'm like, it's from a cartoon called Song of the South. Nobody watches it anymore. There are no DVDs of it. There aren't even any VHSs of it except old ones.
Right.
They're probably worn out. And that's where the song Zippity Doo Dah came from. But they were folk tales of slaves. And this Brer Rabbit, Brer Fox, and they're morality tales, similar to the Bible stuff we were talking about earlier. They are morality tales. But because the main black character, and I forget his name, Uncle something, not Uncle Tom, don't get into that, but whoever it was that sang the Zippity Doo Dah song, he was a Southern American, Southern United States black caricature. And he was horribly racist, and I get it. Here's another one that'll bake your noodle. Lady and the Tramp. The two Siamese cats. Massively racist. Holy shit. Like, not as bad as Peter Pan. Peter Pan's pretty bad. But then I looked at that. I said, how come Zippity Doo Dah's gone? How come Song of the South is gone? But Lady and the Tramp and Peter Pan are still there.
Right.
Because they made more money. They're more ingrained in what Disney is or was.
Right.
They're more classic films. Song of the South was kind of a side film. It was never very popular. But frankly, those two bits in there are just as racist as anything else that's ever been done in any movie. Yeah. I mean, it's any kid's movie anyway.
It's just Peter Pan. Horrible.
It is true. The engine one does bug me.
Yeah, the engine.
The song even says, this is what really, basically I'm paraphrasing, this is what really happened no matter what you've been told or what's been said. This is how and it came these cute little things about why the red man's red. And it's it's a cute song. I think the Sherman Brothers wrote it, if I remember correctly. And it's a very cute song, but it's just horribly offensive. It really is. Why don't they just sing a song about the yellow man? What the fuck? Well, actually, Bruce Springsteen kind of did that in a way.
All right, so anyway, what was you? Oh, okay.
I was just saying about Watership Down.
Yeah.
This movie, I watched it relatively recently. They've got like a rabbit version of the Grim Reaper. It's got a lot of philosophy in it, a lot of mythology. They've got their own like kind of religion going on. This is where the overpopulation of the rabbits came along, started consuming two things. That's where we get into communism. And it's just brutal and bloody. And I remember thinking as a kid, I was kind of enraptured by this, but having watched it like 3 or 4 years ago, I would never let my daughter watch this. I would never even recommend it to her.
Right.
It is just absolutely horrific.
But I will recommend Looney Tunes, original Looney Tunes.
I watched a bunch of Looney Tunes just the other morning, and you know what?
I did the same thing.
We have a couple videos of it, and I just popped it in. There's nothing else to watch on TV. There's nothing on Hulu. There was nothing on Live. Nothing. And I was like, fuck it, Looney Tunes. And I got to tell you, man, it's racist as hell, but Foghorn Leghorn, hands down my favorite Looney Tune, without a doubt. Followed very closely by guys like Wile E. Coyote, Marvin the Martian, Bugs Bunny. But Foghorn Leghorn, man. I said, boy, let me get down. I got a worm's eye view of this. Yeah, that boy's as dumb as a box of rocks.
Yeah, you can. What was Sylvester? No, not Sylvester.
Well, there was Speedy Gonzales, which is racist.
No. He was the guy from Texas, or with the big red beard.
Oh, Yosemite Sam.
Yosemite Sam.
Yeah.
You can find cartoons on almost all of them except for Yosemite Sam.
Really?
Try it.
Because it seems like our DVDs have at least the Castle one, where that were like him and Bugs were two warring nations, and the initial one where he's the cowboy. Yeah, they really don't have them on YouTube. That's for sure. Yeah. They don't have a lot of Foghorn ones either. That's interesting. Yeah. I never really thought about it. I mean, most of the kids that are like younger than us would only know Yosemite from
the back of redneck trucks.
Well, who's that? Back off. And Roger Rabbit.
Yeah.
Or maybe even Space Jam.
Probably not even Roger Rabbit, really.
Yeah, he just has that one great scene in Roger Rabbit when he flies out of Toontown. Oh my God, my biscuits are burning! Fire in the hatch! That's a great horny toads. That's smart. I do love that. Yeah, but yeah, Looney Tunes. People go on about how violent Looney Tunes is. Well, Watership Down is violent. Okay,
right.
Looney Tunes is just funny.
Looney Tunes is funny, and here's the biggest thing. Bugs Bunny's a cross-dresser.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
He was like cross-dressing in almost every cartoon. Or he was chasing after a robotic robot chick. Mm-hmm. Like, the monster one's fun. I just watched that the other day, the monster one. Literally. And at the end of that cartoon, I was laughing my ass off. At the end of that cartoon, the robot bunny comes back.
Yeah,
he's
back.
like, well, she's a robot. Who cares? It just trots on after her. Like, is he going to fuck a doll? Yeah, they were very sexist in those a lot of times. But yeah, the Looney Tunes is definitely worth watching. I like the Looney Tunes better than most of the Disney ones of that same era. My Disney stuff is about the movies, but my wife's really into Silly Symphonies and all those kind of older Disney ones, which are okay, but I don't really care much about it. But anybody who says those things are violent is just stupid.
Right.
It's just stupid. And
dude, there's more violence in Transformers cartoons.
Oh, by far. Or G.I. Joe even. I love that G.I. Joe's...
I'm talking about the new ones too. Like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Now, on that same kind of note, we've talked about this a little bit before too. They've done a release date, or at least a rough release date for Batman the Killing Joke to come out. You can pre-order it on Amazon right now. It comes out in July of this year.
Which I'm sure you have.
I haven't pre-ordered it yet.
Whoa.
But I am so stoked for this movie. I am really excited. I can't wait. They had to...
All right, let's move on. We talk about the Killing Joke like every... know you love it.
Now, let's see here. What else? Oh, now I know you saw Tusk. And you didn't. You saw half of it, and you didn't like it.
No.
The second movie in that trilogy is called Yoga Hosers. Now, I will be honest, though. From what I've heard and what everybody's told me so far, it is not the same as Tusk. Tusk was frightening. Had a few funny parts in it, but it was mostly just frightening and horrific. This is supposed to be just a flat-out comedy. This is a PG-13 comedy. It is a teenage girl adventure, like a Scooby-Doo type adventure. And that is Kevin Smith dressed up as what they call a Bratzi. He's a Nazi bratwurst, and he's like, I don't know, 6 inches tall. And there's like a bunch of him. I have no idea what the plot synopsis is. I don't have any clue. But they're doing like a nationwide tour, and if Kevin comes to Portland with this movie, I really think we should go see it at his presentation. I really do. I don't know if he is. So down here, they don't say he's coming to Portland, but if he does, I really think we should go. Because I'm going to see it anyway, but...
Right.
I just think it looks really funny. Those are the two girls from Tusk, the two girls behind the counter at the where what's his name, Justin Long, comes into the convenience store. And you're like, oh, we hate American guys. It's those two, Kevin's daughter and Johnny Depp's daughter. Yeah. So it's their little like, Scooby-Doo-esque adventure. I guess Star Trek is coming back to TV. Now...
It never really left TV.
Well,
Ever.
No, I know, but I'm talking like, is this one going to be based... Is this one going to continue the original set, or is it going to follow the Chris Pine...
So are they remaking Star Wars?
Star Wars. What do you mean?
Star Trek, I'm sorry.
Well, they're, I think that's what I'm looking up right now. I think that they are... Here's the article. I'll read this here real quick. Not a whole lot is known about Brian Fuller's upcoming CBS Star Trek series, but the streaming sci-fi series looks like it's bound for a strange new world in Canada. So that's where they're going to. That's where like The Flash and everybody films, actually. According to the Toronto Sun, CBS...
Keep going. There's nothing interesting.
Oh, the other day was Superhero Day. National Superhero Day. And I didn't even get the day off. What the fuck?
Well...
It is Thursday, the 28th, I guess, since today's the 29th.
Yes, yesterday.
Thursday the 28th was National Superhero Day, and I think that should be a national holiday. I really do. I think that's not just national in terms of words, but like it should be a bank holiday. Like we should just get the day off for Superhero Day. To me, that makes about as much sense as Christmas, really. Now this thing, when we were watching those Silly Symphonies the other night, my wife and I, my favorite of the old Disney short cartoons is one called Ghost Chasers. It's basically Ghostbusters, but with Mickey, Donald, and Goofy chasing these ghosts through this haunted house with nets, and it's a cute little cartoon.
I kind of remember that.
Yeah. Well, the reason I remember it so well is not because of the movie itself, because I didn't see the movie itself till I was an adult. It was because of this book. It's called Fisher-Price Talk to Me Player book. Now, these books had this little tiny handheld record player. It looks like a machine from Star Trek. And the records were embedded on the pages of these books. And you would stick the player on top of the record, hit the button, and it would spin and it would play.
All right.
And it was lines from the show. And this was back in like 78, 77.
I do not remember this.
Yeah, you probably did not have... I just had this one. And I've been looking for it. You can find the book easy enough, real cheap too. It's finding the player that's a pain in the ass. Like there's no players left anywhere. But there's tons of the books. So let's get into something that... Before I get too shitty, because this is something I'm really going to want to go into a little bit of depth about.
No, you got to keep going.
You're not ready for Gotham?
No.
Tonight, are you going to be ready or later?
No, tonight.
Okay.
But there's something I'm You wanted me to see something, so I'm waiting for you to get to that.
Okay. So let's. Well, there's a bunch of stuff I just kind of threw on here. Let's see here.
Oh, I love that.
Okay, this is something you posted.
Yes.
You said, I don't even know what the freshman one is. This is a picture of Ryan Reynolds. It's 4 pictures, and it says on there, when you finally graduate. And there's 4 pictures of him in different superhero garb. One says freshman, one says sophomore, and junior and senior. The freshman one, I found out what it is, but we don't know what it is. It's him in a blue leotard with bleach blonde hair, and you're like, what the fuck? The sophomore one is Deadpool, but it's the Deadpool from X-Men. The Wolverine X-Men Origins, which everybody hates. The third one...
I love that one. I loved him in that.
I did too. I
thought he did. I was like, God, they killed him. They killed him off?
That's the point. That's why everybody's mad.
I
know. Because he was great at first. He was exactly what Wade should be. But then they sewed his lips shut, and it was really fucked up. But then Green Lantern, which I liked Green Lantern. People give it a lot of shit, but I like that one. And then, of course, the supremely excellent Deadpool, which that fucker comes out on Blu-ray on May 10th, and I'm going to be at Best Buy to buy the Steelbook version of it. I am just fucking stoked to have this movie, because I will watch that movie over and over again.
I almost went to the theater the other night to watch it at the theater. And we missed it by about 15 minutes. Oh my God.
That movie, even my wife likes that movie. Yeah. It's just crazy awesome. Now, this one that says freshman, this really strange one that everyone's like, what the fuck is this? If you open it up, there's actually a guy who points out what it is in one of the comments. Now, everybody forgets he was in Blade as well. He was Hannibal King in Blade. That's another comic book character. Okay, so now Kyle, how do you pronounce that?
Mike Wazowski.
Mike Wazowski?
Mike Wazowski.
Mike Wazowski.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I know. He's big one horn, flying green, purple, whatever. Okay, the top left picture is from an indie film called Paperman, in case anyone was wondering. Despite the name, no, he does not play a superhero called Paperman, but rather a writer's imaginary friend named Captain Excellent.
Very nice.
Oh my God. So...
we almost have to watch that.
Oh my God, I want to see that movie. But here's a picture of Captain Excellent.
Dude, it's so awesome.
It is just, oh man. It's got Jeff Daniels in it. Apparently he's the author.
All right.
If it's a movie with Ryan Reynolds and Jeff Daniels, and Ryan Reynolds is an imaginary superhero called Mr. Excellent, I have got to see this movie.
All right.
So we'll have to keep that one on the burner and see if we can figure out what that is. But so that's that. So let's move on. Captain Excellent. I want that to be my porn name, Captain Excellent. Moving down. Oh, I already did the Prince thing. I kind of want to talk about, there's some trailers I want to watch later, but I'll talk to you about them later and see if you don't want to watch them, because I know how you feel about trailers. This is mildly interesting. A bar in Utah, one of those kind of like we have here, the Edgefields and the whatnot that serve alcohol and show movies. Their liquor license is being questioned because of Deadpool. Now, it's not really because of Deadpool. During a showing of Deadpool, these police officers, I'm using the air quotes again, which to me they seem a little bit more like compliance officers or Gestapo, were in there about all the indecent things that were going on.
So basically the OLCC.
Yes.
Yeah.
And of course, we all know whose mothership Utah is. And I read this article and was kind of disgusted by the whole thing, actually. It was just, they're bitching about, it wasn't even, I was expecting it to be something like underage drinking or something. Right. But it wasn't. It was just all the things that were going on in the movie. In Deadpool, there's the whole, and everybody calls it pegging. When did it get called pegging? Last I knew it was called butt fucking. I had no idea there was a word other than butt fucking.
Okay.
Is pegging. The first term pegging I ever heard was because of Deadpool. And I'm like, pegging? What are they talking about? I looked it up. I'm like, oh, that's just when she was fucking up the ass with a dildo. That was funny as shit. Why is everybody pissed about this? But it was that scene and a bunch of other shit that happened during Deadpool, which that's the point of Deadpool. Deadpool is offensive.
Right.
So you cops can go fucking somewhere else. Now, part of me, though, is kind of like, if you're going to live in Utah, you're going to have to put up with this shit. Mm-hmm. But whatever. I'm rooting for the bar. The bar's like, we're going to fight this. It's freedom of speech. I'm like, yeah, you go, guys. Just don't let the fucking religious freaks take you down. Now,
this is it.
This is not an article. This is just a picture that somebody posted on Twitter that I thought was really funny. It is a picture of, it's the famous or mildly famous Luke and Leia picture from the first film. It's a promotional shot. They're hugging each other, and Luke's got the blue lightsaber in front of him, and they're looking all like she could be the damsel in distress and he's the savior, which everyone later is like, oh, gross. But they superimposed the faces of, and they are...
the Lannisters.
The Lannisters
from Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
Because both Luke and Leia, brother and sister, and
Right.
the Lannisters. Yeah.
Right. Well, the Lannisters actually consummated that fucked up relationship. Luke and Leia never did that we know
First
of.
off, it's not because they didn't want to. Well, she didn't want to because Luke's a big dork. All right, he's the nice guy.
Well, if you had to choose between Luke and Han, I'm like,
Exactly.
I'd fuck Han over
exactly. You
Like,
know,
what the hell?
And we established that that's who you would do.
That's true. It's a good point. Yeah, thank you, Earl, for pointing that out, by the way.
But yeah, I mean, that's if Luke wasn't such a. He's the nice guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when I saw that and it says a Skywalker always pays his debts, I started laughing. I had to post that for you. I thought that was really funny. But it's not an article or anything. It's just a
I
picture.
thought that was like a video article.
No, it's just a picture. Now, the only other thing, I got bored one day.
Yeah, you do this a lot.
Okay, I like playing with my action figures. Okay, there's these people that buy now. The stereotypical thing is the 40-year-old virgin thing, where these weird guys that are way too old to be collecting toys
Big Bang Theory guy.
Yeah, have all these toys and they're all mint in box.
They actually threaten. I watched an episode. They actually threaten. I will open up this package if you don't back off.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's why that show's funny.
Package, dude.
But anyway. I digress. Me, on the other hand, I do like collecting toys, old ones and new ones, but I do not keep them in the fucking package because I like to place them places. I like to play with them. I don't care. And when I get bored sometimes, if it's a nice day, I've got a nice little yard. You know, it makes a good forest. So G.I. Joe looks really cool there, and Star Wars looks really cool back there. I've taken a bunch of pictures in front of my stone fountain and in front of all kinds of stuff. And this one, I had picked up this Black Series, and I'd posted it before, this Black Series speeder bike and Trooper in Disneyland. And then I'd recently bought the little 3.75 figure, the newer one of Luke from Return of the Jedi with the camouflage robe and everything. And I decided to try to recreate the scene, the great scene in Return of the Jedi when he falls off the speeder and the other one comes out and he slices the thing off with his blade and then sends the guy into a tree. And I was just kind of fucking around, and that's where the picture of Gertie came from. I was trying to get a picture of the speeder bike say it was coming around the tree, but Gertie kept popping into the picture going, "What you doing? What you doing, Dad?" So I decided, fuck it, I'll just take a picture of those two. And it didn't even occur to me that the same color palette. I had no idea.
It is?
Yeah, I think Gertie's a stormtrooper. That's what she is.
Apparently.
So anyway, that was me being bored. So there is an article down here. Now, I watched, we talked about Batman v Superman the last time, and we pretty much did what everyone else did. We kind of bashed it, because it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Now, we'll get to the Civil War thing in a minute, which I'm really excited about, but this was an unfortunate situation, and I watched several reviews of other people, Kevin Smith's review and a few other folks. I watched Comic Book Girl 19's review.
I just got the image of Ben Affleck crying in that interview.
Oh, I know. Sad Affleck.
Sad Affleck.
Well, as we both respect and have watched Comic Book Girl 19, she did a review of the movie and specifically of Sad Affleck.
Right.
And she brought up a good point. Her opinion, working and living in Hollywood and not knowing Ben personally, but watching that video of him and then watching him on the screen and watching his subsequent reactions as time has gone on, her opinion, this was her conjecture, was he's a director. He's an Academy Award-winning director and writer. He's fucking outstanding. I wouldn't say he's the best actor, but he's good. When he's well-directed, he's really good. But he directs so much better than anything else in terms of what he's done. You could see almost, and this is what she pointed out, you could see on the look at his face, he could see this fucker derailing. He could see it coming off the hinges. He was being directed by an inferior director, and he knew it. And from how I feel about Man of Steel, what I don't like about Batman v Superman is exactly what I don't like about Man of Steel.
You know what? It's his own damn fault, though. It's his own fault because he is best friends with Kevin Smith, and Kevin Smith.
No, he's not. They're not friends at all. That's the part you mentioned that the last show. I don't even know what you're talking about. They haven't talked in like 10 years.
The point is, how many times did Kevin Smith say, "I'm a fan, I won't do it"?
But
right here, I'm a fan.
But that's what I'm getting at. I agree with Comic Book Girl because he is still slated to write and direct the next one, and I think he's going to knock it out of the park. Because Zack Snyder fucked up Man of Steel, and I think he fucked up Batman v Superman. I think it was all him. I really do.
So Zack Snyder did both of those movies?
He did, yeah.
Wait, which one was Man of Steel?
That's the shitty Superman one.
Well, you think both of them are shitty, so is that emo Superman or not emo Superman?
That's emo Superman.
See, I like emo Superman.
Yeah, you did. I didn't like it.
Well,
anyway, my point being...
both of them sucked.
They both sucked. Yeah, they're both not great.
Yeah.
And Although I will say Batman v Superman is marginally better, but that's because Affleck, I think, was okay as Batman, and Gal Gadot was fucking awesome as Wonder Woman. And I said this last time: if Batman v Superman was just a trailer for Wonder Woman, I'm sold. I really want to see the Wonder Woman movie. I think it's gonna be great.
I thought that was turning into a TV series.
No, there was a TV series that got canceled like 3 or 4 or 5 years ago.
All right, I see your point.
Yeah,
and I see your point because this gives Ben Affleck a chance to take control of Batman.
Yep.
Fine. I gotta play this. I gotta listen to this dude so I get what I want. Well, we've all done that to a certain limit, and I think now he just has to put up with the aftermath of all that to get exactly what he wants, to prove that I'm all right. I see that argument. Thing is, did this come about because of, or was this kind of the way it was going anyway?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean,
I'm just gonna throw this up here. This is the picture that Jay put up about the Justice League finally accepts their true roles in the Justice League as Batman sidekicks,
all dressed in Robin uniforms.
Super Robin and Wonder Robin. He's like, no and no. That's true.
Yeah,
that's a fact.
It just the whole Ben Affleck thing is.
I thought he was okay as Batman. I really did. I thought he was a little better as Bruce than as Batman. Most of the times it's the other way around. They're better as being Batman than at being Bruce. Even Keaton was way better at Batman than Bruce.
Well, because Batman doesn't have many lines. He just has...
I would disagree. I think Batman's got the best lines.
He has one-liners. Not...
Worked for Schwarzenegger all those years.
Well, yeah. But I mean, Batman has one-liners versus when you're Bruce, you actually have to have like conversation dialogue, which is kind of where I think Michael Keaton kind of killed it.
Yeah. He did have the. You're right. He did have the one line. The singers.
Yeah. I mean, but
it's Japanese. How do you know that? Because I bought it in Japan. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Bruce Wayne. Yeah. God, now I want to watch that.
Dude, he was so great as Bruce Wayne.
You're right. I take that back. You're right.
Yeah.
He was pretty good.
I think Batman is one of those characters that, because everything, whether dialogue or not, and there's some dialogue, and it's usually with, regardless what, Fox or Alfred. That's the only dialogue he really has. Everything else is just one-liners. And I think any actor, any decent actor, go Josh Brolin would be a great Batman, because he's got the stature.
Maybe a while back, yeah.
Yeah, he's got the stature. He's got the look.
Yeah.
He's got the. He could be a great Batman because it's just delivering one-liners.
But you'd think Clooney could have pulled that off too, but Schumacher fucked it up. Clooney would have been. I would have thought Clooney would be perfect as Batman. I really do.
I think he was great at that Batman because Clooney is kind of. He can kind of be goofy. I mean, look at
Definitely.
Clooney. Look at Clooney in that Batman, and look at his role in a lot of movies.
Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou?
Well, I was going to go...
Hail Caesar.
I really want to see that.
I do too.
But I was going to go compare that Batman and that Bruce Wayne to... what's the gangster movie? Ocean's 11.
Okay, yeah.
So they're basically the same character.
They're a similar character, yeah.
They're very similar.
Overconfident rich guy.
I think that was perfect for Clooney because it's kind of a goofy movie. It's kind of the way it was written kind of for him to be Batman. Him being Batman as like the Keaton Batman, or even the later ones with
I think Val was okay too. Not great, but he was okay.
Well,
Val Kilmer.
I'll get to Val in a second.
Yeah.
But in that role, he could not. His attitude wouldn't have been able to pull off the Keaton Batman or the Christian Bale Batman.
Oh no, Christian Bale was intense.
He was perfect for that Batman.
Yeah,
and he was great at that Batman. I think mostly what ruined that movie was the Robin.
Oh yeah. Well, Schumacher just fucked it all up.
I don't think he did.
I think he did. I think Bane was just a joke. It wasn't much better.
As far as I'm just talking about the Batman characters.
Okay.
Val was good as Batman because again, one-liners.
It's the car, isn't it? Chicks dig the car.
Yeah, chicks did the cars. He's got the smooth delivery.
Yeah.
The kind of the deeper voice type thing. I think mostly for him it was probably the look. What wasn't right?
No, you're right. Clooney definitely has the jaw.
Jaw. Yeah. Again, Josh Brolin.
That's a good point.
He's got the perfect look. I think
that's why he made a good younger Tommy Lee Jones in Men in Black 3, even though that movie wasn't that great.
Yeah. All of them had their own thing because I think the Batman character was written for the star that played Batman. Everything else was just centered around that. If you look at it at that view, those Batmans were written for that star that played Batman. George Clooney was great at his Batman. Val Kilmer was good at his Batman.
Well, they gave it 100%. That's a fact.
Yeah. The problem came with Robin or
Batgirl.
Or the bad guys. Danny DeVito could have made a great Penguin.
I thought that when they first cast him, when I saw that mutant penguin shit, that was horrible.
Could have been a great Penguin. But then the lines and his plot was just so bad. And then you throw Christopher Walken and like his white hair and just like...
Well, they did the same thing with Jack Palance in the first one. They took this great, scary dude and killed him off in like the first third of the movie.
Yeah, but you also got Jack Nicholson.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
I think Jack Palance was great.
You... my number one guy. Yeah. Now, I will say this as a caveat. When we were in the service, Jay used to say that to his airmen. He used to grab them by the shoulders and go, you.
I did that to one kid
in front of me.
Time, and that kid was scared as hell when I did that. He had no idea what I was doing.
It didn't help that I was 10 feet away laughing my ass off. Here's the part that he wasn't scared because you were scary. He was scared because he had no idea what you were doing.
He had no idea what I was doing, and he was a timid kid to begin with.
I think I remember that kid.
Yeah. But I did that to that kid. I was like, but Jack Palance was, he didn't have to be the Joker. He was a bad guy. He was a gangster. Whatever. But the two characters in that movie, Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson is the golfer. Whatever. He was a great Joker.
Yes, absolutely.
And Michael Keaton was a great Batman.
Yes.
And both those roles were written for those two stars. To all the other movies, the movie was written just for the Batman star, not for the bad guys.
I would disagree in the terms of the second one, because you can tell that Tim Burton, and this is true of most of Tim Burton's films, he is obsessed with the freaks. He doesn't care about the heroes.
Right.
He had to develop in the first one, he gave Keaton enough to do because he had to. He was the Batman. He had to set that up. But you could totally tell in the second one, he was like, it was all about the Penguin, it was all about Catwoman. Batman shows up in like half the film. The rest of it's Penguin.
Yeah.
And it's just horrible. It's not really that good. But I see what you're saying, though. The Batman character itself, for each one of those three Batman.
Even Christian Bale, because if you look at Christian Bale, what did we know Christian Bale from?
Well, besides that, American Psycho.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So here we have this Psycho.
Yeah.
And that part was written perfectly for
He was
Christian
definitely
Bale.
the most obsessed Batman I've seen on the screen.
Yeah, he had this obsessive...
Which is very true of Batman.
Yeah, he had an obsession, physical, mental, all of this, and he didn't like playing the part. He kind of was American Psycho guy. If you kind of look at it, just this great...
Just focused differently.
Yeah.
Which, if you think about it, and the trauma that happened that created Batman in the first place, Bruce Wayne's parents dying, could very much have created a serial killer. Very much so.
Oh, yeah.
A similar trauma pattern right there.
That goes even with how that begins, in the very first movie where he goes in to shoot...
Oh, the Boss Maroni, I think.
Yeah, no, was it Maroni?
It was one of them. It's either Boss Maroni or the other one.
I think it was the other one.
Yeah.
But he goes in to shoot him, and somehow, he got talked out of it.
Yeah.
And that's when he threw the gun away and said, I'm never, it was basically a decision. If you do, Maroni is, if you do this, you got to keep doing this.
I really think that's where the third one fell apart, is because their bad guy wasn't. I love Bane as a character. He's one of my favorite Batman villains ever, and no film has depicted it properly. The closest has been Justice League. Has been Justice League Unlimited. They've gotten Bane closest, or not Justice League, but Batman TAS, the show. They've gotten him the closest. Bane is an amazing character, and they completely made a caricature of him in the Snyderverse, Schumacher rather. Sorry, Schumacher. And then and as much as I love Tom Hardy and Mad Max, so I hate busting his chops, but that was horrible. That was just, I can't even finish that movie. I tried watching it not too long ago, and I couldn't even get the third one, the one with Bane, The Dark Knight Rises. I hate that movie. Anne Hathaway, I adore. I've got a massive celebrity crush on Anne Hathaway. Horrible in this movie. The premise that Batman had been gone for 10 years as a young man and then came back, that's fucking ridiculous. Bane was not frightening at all. Like, not even close to frightening. I mean, not like Liam was, or like Ledger was, or even Scarecrow. Scarecrow was the fucking bomb in the first movie. I loved him in that.
Well, Scarecrow, they could have done a better job with Scarecrow.
I liked it. The only better Scarecrow I've seen is the Arkham Asylum games.
Yeah.
That was an awesome Scarecrow in that one.
I think because Bane was just... When you realize all that Bane was doing was just following orders...
That's why I don't like him. You haven't read Nightfall, have you?
No, but I think they gave enough backstory just for the movie to why he did it. Just for the movie.
In the comic, he is the genius. He is the one going after Batman. There's no following orders. He's the one. Right. He's the mastermind.
But it's a different backstory.
Yeah.
So, true. I mean, the creator...
And Bane doesn't have any connection to the League of Assassins or anything in the comics at all.
He's just the
Bane.
mastermind.
Yeah.
So I think in that retrospect, that's why I like that Bane. I like the character.
I just can't get past... I can't even do the voice. I can't get past the voice. The voice bugs me. I have not given you permission to die. What the fuck is that?
That's a line from other movies too.
Yeah, but not the line. It's the delivery.
No, I liked it. Thought that was good. Thought it was decent.
But then I watched Tom Hardy and Mad Max, and I'm just like,
oh my god, Tom Hardy and Mad Max was like he did the best Mel Gibson impression I've ever seen.
But without all the lines, Mel Gibson still tended to chatter, even as the Road Warrior.
Right, but this is years after. To me, this looks like this is after the Road Warrior. After
I got the impression it was between kind of. It doesn't really fit totally, but it's kind of between the Road Warrior and Thunderdome.
Okay.
Yeah, because Thunderdome, he was older.
The kids and whatever.
This one could have taken place between the first and second movie or the second and third movie, either one.
But still, he's going batshit crazy, and that's what's happening.
Yeah. Strapped to the hood of a fucking car for half the film.
I know.
Jesus Christ. Here we go talking about Mad Max again.
He's batshit crazy. Again, doing his greatest the greatest Mel Gibson. Because he really was. He
did Mel better than Mel, frankly.
Yeah, he studied Mel. He had to have studied Mel, at least in those first two films. And like...
Oh, yeah.
What would he be? How crazy would this son of a bitch be afterwards?
Because when's the last time you saw the original Road Warrior? The original Mad Max movie?
It's...
The first one, the Australian one.
It's been a while, but not so long to where I do not... Well, I haven't forgotten it.
It's not as nearly as entertaining as the second one, The Road Warrior.
No.
But it's... Whoa.
It's entertaining. It's... If you don't remember, if you haven't seen it for a while, you got to remember, for half that movie, he was just a regular
He's a cop,
Joe,
yeah.
You know, and then he went out...
It was almost like a zombie apocalypse kind of thing, where suddenly everything went to shit.
Yeah, so like there's like this standing town, and he's a cop, and
then his family gets run over, and
the people from the Badlands don't come to town, and the people from the town don't go into the Badlands.
It was kind of like a Wild West situation.
Yeah, somehow somebody crossed over, his wife got killed, he went after the killers, and then decided to stay out there. So he was a normal dude, normal, average suburbanite schmuck for that kind of town, that kind of era. That's what he was.
Yeah.
Then he turned to the dark side, and then he stayed and got crazier and crazier afterwards. But yeah, that's what Tom Hardy took exactly the Road Warrior character and just nailed it, because that's Mel Gibson. 5 years later, crazier.
Yeah.
And not crazier Mel Gibson, just crazier because you're just out there by yourself just for survival. And that's what's going to happen to you. I mean, that's why I thought, holy shit, this fucking dude. I watch it. It's been on HBO like at least once every other week.
Granted, if it's just on, you just got to watch it.
Yeah, I can't.
That's true of any of them, really. But
it comes on. It pisses me off because it comes on. It always starts at like 9:30, which takes me back past my damn bedtime. Like, fucking addicted to
Fuck your old man.
What?
What? But anyway,
yeah.
Well, that being said, we kind of got off the superhero thing, but let's kind of stay on the superhero thing for a minute. Have you been watching Flash?
Yes, but I have to pee.
Oh, okay. I gotta pour a drink anyway.
Thank you for listening to Rum Rants with Rob and Jay on Sterling Broadcasting. These morons can be reached on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and at rumrants@outlook.com. All copyrighted materials are used for review and discussion purposes only. No copyright infringement is intended by members of the Rum Rants podcast or Sterling Broadcasting. Thank you.